Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and it's always a slightly sunnier Monday when they ban a bunch of cards, and they did. Lurrus, gone into formats. And actually, we got a little something more on that one. Now, as you can see by this chart that they uploaded alongside of it, they thought the word ban had too negative of a connotation, so they're going to go with hee-hee or not hee-hee. And as you can see, Lurrus is now being moved to not hee-hee. So Lurrus is now classified as not hee-hee in Pioneer and Modern. Makes sense. I hate that card. And then in Pauper, you know, we had the Pauper people, whatever committee, I forget what the alliteration I did last time was. Whatever. They got a group of people who actually play Pauper, and they asked them, what should we do? And then they gave them like a whole bunch of bans, and everybody was happy. And now they're banning 3 more things. Galvanic Relay, because it sounds too close to Gavin Verhey. Disciple of the Vault, because it's somehow racist. And Expedition Map is unbanned because, actually, 2 reasons. 1, they're idiots. And 2, this one I'm not kidding about. They want more Tron in the format. Stay tuned for that one. So let's start with Lurrus in Pioneer and Modern. I kind of lump them together, but Wizards didn't, so let's read what they say about Modern here. And I guess if some of you are already not looking at the screen, it's the 3-cost black-white double hybrid absolute nightmare. Oh, literal nightmare. I just realized that. Cat Nightmare, legendary creature. From Ikoria, with Companion, which has been, the rules have been rewritten, doesn't matter, it's still awful. It has lifelink, it's a 3/2, which, okay, alright creature, except, during each of your turns, you may cast 1 permanent spell with convert a mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard, which it turns out is an absolute catastrophe. Unlimited free casting from your graveyard, and you don't exile the card at the end of turn. That's the problem. This would just be an extremely strong card if they exiled the card, which is the standard. I mean, Whip of Erebos does it. Every whip effect does it. I mean, they're named that for a reason. This is one of those, like, in the background unwritten rules. So the fact that you can just sit there and loop something, it's just, I mean, that's why they said permanent spell, and I guess they thought they could get away with that, but you can, like, sack certain things. You can just do any kind of infinite loop. Now, I don't really play Modern too much anymore. I definitely don't play Pioneer. We don't need another fragmented, non-rotating format. We need extended, but that's a different discussion. But, Pioneer has a much, much smaller card pool than Modern, so the fact that they banned it in both means it's as problematic as people thought. Unfortunately, they were too cowardly and clueless and slow-moving to ban this from Standard at the time. I guess they thought rewriting Companion, like the rules and how it works, was enough, but it wasn't, and they took too long to do that, so they just waited for rotation. Not exactly a novel strategy. We've seen that for the last 3 years. Hey, guys, remember when they thought rotation would solve Goblin Chain Whirler? And then everybody kept playing Mono Red? Remember that? Do you remember that? I remember that. So anyway, what they have to say about this absolute demon beast is, since the release of Modern Horizons 2, they might as well just stop right there. Although if they're going to throw MH2 under the bus because of Lurrus, okay, that's a stretch, but MH2 was awful for the format. Modern has enjoyed a period of experimentation and exploration. Oh my gosh, is that the most pie-in-the-sky silver lining thing I've ever heard in my life. That is a very interesting description of what happened after MH2 came out. Despite that, Lurrus of the Dream Den has remained a ubiquitous presence in the format across multiple archetypes. Yeah, it's almost like multiple strategies like recasting something from the graveyard indefinitely. Lurrus's play rate, wait till you hear this, 31% in Magic Online League decks that started with at least 4 wins. 31%. I mean, we'd have to probably go back to the Eldrazi winter when BFC just ruined Modern for like a year to see numbers like that. And the only number I have is 61% of people who attended a tournament ran it. I think one side tournament that wasn't a Channel Fireball event was, I heard upwards of 78 to 80%. But yeah, it was basically double that. It was like 2/3 of people were running like Reality Shaper or whatever. Or like some Eldrazi in their deck or whatever the metric was. So that was worse, but this is bad. 31% is horrible. So as they put it, that points to a card that is contributing to the homogenization of the Modern play experience. Let me translate that because there's a lot of like really soft PR speak in this. It's some broken overpowered crap. Oh, and then comma, Ikoria was a disaster. Semicolon, whoever designed it was a crazy person. And then they also say there is not a significant enough deck building cost to incorporate it into a wide variety of strategies. Yeah. I mean, some people just mainboard it. They don't even use the companion part. And a lot of people who run the companion part run, 3 more in the deck. Come to think of it, I don't even remember if what they changed about companion applied to other formats outside of Standard. So you're probably getting the gist of it here, but they also go on to say, as is often the case in larger non-rotating formats, there are already strong incentives to include as many cheap and efficient cards as possible in your deck due to the format speed. So if you're not familiar, also, if you want the companion portion of it, it says each permanent card in your starting deck, so just permanent card, has to have a converted mana cost of 2 or less. Otherwise, you can't run this as like an outside the deck companion. So Lurrus compounds those incentives by providing a powerful additional resource that helps to alleviate the weakness of filling your deck with cheaper and often less impactful cards as games go on. Yeah, you're going to burn out your whole hand on like turn 3 or 4 if everything in your deck costs, 0, 1, or 2. But now you get recursion. Now notice what they're kind of admitting here. It's kind of like a backhanded admission, like every, double-speak sentence in this whole article. Wait a minute, permanent cards don't go straight to the graveyard. So how does it help burning out your hand? Oh, people are just using sacrifice and infinite loops. Okay, gotcha. For too many archetypes, Lurrus isn't a trade-off, but purely additive due to play data, community feedback. Oh, they listen to that now, do they? And a desire to keep as diverse a range of card options as possible available to players in Modern. Lurrus of the Dream Den is banned in Modern. So I guess I could just read the Pioneer one. While considerably less dominant in Pioneer today, 20% in Magic Online League decks that started with 4 wins, it's probably because there's a lot less cards that cost 2 or less, we expect Lurrus's metagame share will only grow as Pioneer's card pool expands. Oh yes, there's a big takeaway here. It's so inherently problematic that nothing will ever be okay, and every time a set enters Pioneer legality, it makes it worse, so we're just going to ban it now instead of waiting for it to become a problem. Which, I'm not kidding, is the exact opposite of their usual strategy. They're like, let's wait and see, let's wait and see what happens. And then they let it ruin a format for like 6 months, and they're like, okay, now we're going to step in. Well, they've done that so much that Modern has been like, unplayable for, X% of its life. I guess they don't realize that they're taking too long to respond. And it's like, well, this is ruining Modern now, and this is ruining Modern now, and this is ruining Modern now, and this is ruining Modern now. They have to move quicker on this, or they need to get out ahead of it and not let it ruin the format for even a week, a month, a quarter. But they're unwilling to do that. They're too busy. They're too clueless. They're too, I don't know. Their method is crap. I'm not even going to speculate. They just need to do what they did when they started Modern. They pre-banned like 30 cards or something like that. I don't know. I've heard conflicting reports. I mean, one, for example, that I heard for sure was they just looked at the artifact lands and they're like, no, that's not going to work ever. That is never going to be okay. And they pre-banned them. They need to do that more often. In fact, well, if you're going to say this is too powerful for the format it's in, first of all, I don't care about Modern, I care about Standard. And secondly, just don't design the card that way. Just don't even print the card, print something else. I guess they aren't familiar with that concept either. So our philosophy for Pioneer is to create the most compelling sandbox built from recent Standard formats. Oh yeah, they started Pioneer, the cutoff, right when Standard started going completely off a cliff. That's why people don't like Pioneer, but for some reason people still want it on Arena. I guess probably because they already unlocked the wild cards, or I don't know. If Historic isn't high-powered, broken, and just a nightmare enough for you, just go play MTG or go play a completely different game, because you're insane. But for all I know, Pioneer doesn't include the latest jumpstarts, and for sure doesn't include Historic anthologies. Although if it's on Arena, it might. Keep that in mind. So if people are thinking, well, this is actually going to be lower powered than Historic, because they just ruined that. And really, people only just play Historic Brawl now, and even that's, it's not terrible, but it's not great. Golos is still legal for some reason. Yeah, I think they're putting a little too much hope in the hands of Wizards of the Coast there, without knowing their history for the last 3.5, 4 years of bans and non-bans and mistakes, I guess would be the most accurate word. So they just go on to say, in the interest of preserving the diversity that Pioneer is enjoying, sure, rather than waiting for the critical mass in which Lurrus of the Dream Den is problematic, it is banned in Pioneer. See, I don't see any logical reason to not do that. Then they actually have a section just titled Companions. I actually haven't read this yet. Let's get my first impression here. While Lurrus's presence in Modern and Pioneer are large enough for us to act today, the rest of the Companions are seeing a play rate that is in line with a diverse and healthy metagame. Now see, that's where they screwed up. But I'll read the last sentence. There's only two statements here. Like other components from their environments, we'll continue to monitor them for undesirable and repetitive gameplay. Oh, now you care about repetitive gameplay. And make individual changes as necessary. I love how every ban announcement, they have different reasoning, and it's never consistent, and you can always find 10 more examples that they aren't addressing. No wonder they constantly get accused of insider trading. So for the Pauper bans, which is Galvanic, Relay, Disciple, the Vault, and Expedition map, they are moving to a completely separate article written by Gavin Verhey, who I believe is in charge or managing the Pauper committee. So this is an interesting statement. Let's jump into this. But first, you know what's probably not getting banned from your local gaming store no matter what format you play? These dank-ass t-shirts from Into the AM. They've got even more than t-shirts now, and they've got some crazy sales, crazy clearance deals. And actually, somebody from my Discord server just showed a picture of their order that they just got, and it was 3 shirts for like nothing. Under 20 a piece, guys. Come on, use my code 10%. It stacks even with the 3 for $60 deal. And it applies to clearance stuff. Who does that? No local store around me does that. So, I mean, you ain't going to find shirts this nice that hold up this well, that are this comfortable. I very commonly sleep in them from any other vendor for under 25. Okay, I've shopped around. Trust me, I ain't new to this t-shirt market. These are the nicest. So check them out. Link in the description. Let's get back to the popper ban. So Gavin opens the article with, when we last spoke in January. Oh, if we had a conversation, if it wasn't you just typing stuff and then hitting publish and me reading it, Oh, you would have banned 50 more cards. Don't even start with me, Gavin. Anyway, he says, I ran through not just our bans, or I guess he should say our ban decisions at the moment, but our rationale for them and thoughts on the health of the format. At the end, I said if there are more changes to be made in the short term, you would most likely see them in March, as we look at how the metagame after these bans has settled and whether Kamigawa Neon Dynasty has impacted the format at all. We're there. We've seen both impact of the bans and the large impact of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, which really, what's it been out for, like 2.5 weeks? Jeez. I bet it's all ninjutsu-ified. First of all, I want to say that we on the Popper Format panel, or PFP, that's what it is. And I called it the Popper People panel because that sounds way cooler. Unlike Wizards, I'm putting people first. I mean, I'm putting Popper first, but it's in the middle. So those folks are overall quite happy with the last round of changes. Oh, they were badly needed. Everybody's happy with the changes. I haven't seen one negative statement about it. I'm sure there's some whiny net decker like, I was running that deck. Yeah, but everybody else wants it banned, so shut up. But I haven't seen anybody dumb enough to stick their head up like that online and give that very unpopular opinion. So we've been monitoring the format every week and have been happy seeing increased player numbers, nice, and diversity on Magic Online leagues. Yeah, it turns out when you fix it, people actually want to play it. I guess that's a foreign concept. Should have put some effort in, because I don't know if they realize this either, but more players equals more customers equals more money. They're discovering all kinds of things this week. So leagues, challenges, and anecdotally from the limited real world's play opportunities there are right now, with mono black controlled, mono green stompy, and everything in between, it's been an exciting time to be a Popper player. You just put 2 of the most obnoxious archetypes in the game, and then the word exciting in the same sentence, really? However, with the release of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, there's a new deck to address, and we've had enough time to watch things develop to make some other changes. Boy, how pissed would you be if you just built this deck? Today's ban list update reflects those decisions. Let me walk you through them. Galvanic Relay, as I stated, is too close to my name, Gavin Verhey. See, even I almost said Galvin Verhey. Okay, just kidding. He didn't write that. He says Storm cards have a long and storied history of getting the axe in Popper. You know what? It's called the Storm Scale for a reason. Any card that references it or implies it should be banned. Just period. Across the board, every format. It was a mistake. Same with Infact, same with a couple other things. Come on, it's just time to just move on. Anyway, it didn't take long until Chatterstorm and Galvanic Relay were tearing up the format. So, funny story. That's from MH2, so that's like half the punchline. And Chatterstorm is also from MH2. And neither of them are from Neon Dynasty. That's the other half of the punchline. So throw Neon Dynasty under the bus and then ban 2 absolutely broken things with a broken mechanic that was just printed specifically for Popper in Modern Horizons 2. That is just amazing. So I'm going to burn through their ridiculous nonsense. It's banned because it's Storm and everybody hates Storm. There you go. That's the real truth. What he wrote was a little different. Oh, here we go. After the ban of Chatterstorm, Galvanic Relay was a powerhouse with a strong enough home. However, the introduction of Experimental Synthesizer in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, especially when backed by Deadly Dispute, yeah, that was the problem, was the missing piece to reopen this can of worms. Yeah, reopen. There was the key term right there. In short order, Black-Red Storm has climbed to the top of the format. Now, I want to say that we on the PFP, which should have been called the PPP, don't believe Storm existing in the format is inherently a bad thing. That's because they're all morons. Decks like Reaping the Graves-based Cycling Storm, I don't even know what that is, or Weather the Storm combo decks with Marauding Blight Priest have seen success. Bryant Cook won a Magic Online challenge just a few weeks ago with the former. There are decks at a power level that is more reasonable and have additional avenues for interaction, for example, Graveyard Hate against Cycling Storm. Let me just add, just because there's a way to stop a deck doesn't mean that it shouldn't be banned, and just because there's worse decks than it doesn't mean that a deck shouldn't be banned. However, the problem comes when the deck is quick, powerful, and difficult to interact with. Yes, nobody wants to play against that crap. This new Red-Black Storm deck is all of those and has been boasting a win rate accordingly. Oh, get this. Looking at the data from Magic Online Leagues, it has the highest win rate in the format by a large margin at a whopping 60% ignoring mirror matches. If you're wondering what their threshold for danger is, it's 55%. That may not sound like much, but for context, dominant decks in Magic history often sit in the high 50% range. Somewhere 60% is quite high. What he said isn't entirely true. What I said is, and far above what both Affinity and Tron were last time. We gave it a little time for the metagame to settle and see if people found a solution, but that doesn't seem to be the case at this point. Yes, there is no solution to stupid gimmicky glass cannon decks, and if you're going to say the solution is a counterspell, then you really don't know much about Magic. It was clear action needed to be taken. While Galvanic Relay was the obvious card to ban, it's important to investigate all the options. I'm just going to say they considered Rite of Flame, Dark Ritual, Cabal, Lotus, and Lotus Petal. But in case you're new here or something, those aren't the problem. Storm is the problem. I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with those 4 cards, but the problem with the deck that runs them is Storm. So they go on to say that Experimental Synthesizer was the card that really sent it to the moon, and it's still problematic in a deck that runs Glinthawk and Core Skyfisher. But don't worry, guys. They're keeping their eye on it, which means it'll probably be banned in a month. So sell your copies now. I guess I'll read the last statement because it's at least hopeful and interesting. Finally, you could talk about waiting even longer to see what happens and if the metagame develops ways to counter the deck. However, at this point, all signs point to this deck being dominant. No. You're coming at this from the completely wrong angle. Is it fun to play against, and how many people are pissed and no longer playing Pauper because of it? That's actually the only question. Not can people build around it, it's should they have to and are they willing to? And is it ruining people's fun and enjoyability? That should almost be the only factor. Not here's some percentages, here's some whatever, here's the win rates. I don't care if there's 10 people in the world that play a deck that is just miserably toxic and awful, you should ban it. It's not about prevalence. It's not about what's getting out of control. I get it. You only have so much staff, so much time, and so much play testing and whatever to do in a day. But you should just identify it and say this, and this. This, what they're doing, what that deck's point is unacceptable. Too many people dislike it. This is going to cause people to quit the format quicker than, 31% of people are playing this deck. That's secondary. You got to get rid of the toxic crap first, then the overpowered, broken, too many people are playing it stuff second. It looks like they're going with nothing but numbers, nothing but results, nothing but hard statistics, and then a couple personal anecdotes maybe. Maybe some comments I read on Reddit. If this is your job, you should be so good at this point that you can identify it quicker than anybody making some random comment in response to a tweet, okay? And you're never on any social media platform going to get enough feedback about certain cards to make a ban decision or get a feel for if people hate it or love it, because it's going to be overrepresented by just anti-social, I don't care about anyone's fun but me, I just want to win people. That tends to be who make Magic their whole life. They have nothing else going for them, and if they don't win, they go cry to their mom to get the credit card so that they can buy another net deck, okay? Those type of people are on Reddit. I doubt I need to tell the majority of you that. So if they're listening to player feedback from those people, they're going to get completely and utterly the wrong opinions. What they need to do is just find a way to blind send out, like to literally random Pauper players via email on their MTGO accounts, a survey and say, what do you like? What don't you like? What, top 10 cards or decks do you want gone? And then they'd get an actual cross section. That's how you do a representative random, assortment of people. Not, there was 5 angry comments about this card. I guess we'll look into it. Nah, people said this is fun and enjoyable. There's nothing wrong with Storm. Like 3 people said that, which means that 3,000 people, must be the average. It's not an accurate cross section of the community. Not even close. It is the definition of biased. But they never do proper market research. In fact, for their actual proper market research that they think they're doing for standard after every set, they just tweet it out and post it on Reddit. If you think Twitter and Reddit is an accurate snapshot of your community, that explains why standard's been the way it's been for the last 4 years. I mean, when 99% of the community hates Companion, you're going to hear about it one way or another, but like the more subtle things and the more like the casual, the silent majority, the people that actually enjoy deck building games for deck building, people who don't just net deck, get free wins, and who cares, you're just not going to hear from them. And it's very clear that Wizards isn't hearing from them. So that's what's wrong with this entire process. That's what's wrong with everything he said. And that's what's wrong with, well, spoiler alert in case you didn't catch it, the fact that nothing got banned from Standard today. You know that one card, the 3-color enchantment, that is the only actual like non-land card that's been spoiled from New Capenna? They should have announced they banned that today. That's how far ahead of them me and the community are. A free counter on every single creature you own for 3. They already have a problematic version of that arena-only card that costs 5. So, Disciple of the Vault. They say before banning ATOG, there was a lot of discussion in the PFP around whether we should ban ATOG and Disciple of the Vault, or just ATOG. And now they're banning Disciple of the Vault. I'm not sure I even need to read the rest of what he wrote. Wait, let me just Control F, hold on. No, the word mistake doesn't occur anywhere in his write-up. Wow, that's inaccurate. So yeah, he tries to kind of pave it over by saying eventually just ATOG won out, but with the understanding that we could wait and see, which he just said they are trying not to do. Wait and see what happened, then see if we need to act on Disciple of the Vault. It was hard to predict what shape the results Affinity would put up. It is literally the easiest thing in the world to see what results Artifact Affinity would put up. Everybody hates it. It was one of the most hated decks in Modern for years. Anytime anything even resembling it goes into Standard, even during the like spoiler season, people lose their crap. So saying it's hard to predict, I mean, I guess if you're unbelievably clueless and new to Magic, I guess. If you're Gavin Verhey, it should be very obvious. If you're the Popper People Committee, whatever the hell, PFPP, whatever, PPE loan, the Popcorn Chicken people, the Colonels, I don't know, whoever they are. If this is news to them, if that's a concept that people don't like Affinity and it's been perpetually broken, then I guess that explains why they let Storm go this long too. Here, let me give you guys some advice. Here, I don't even need to be on your stupid little PFPPP, whatever the hell. Take every single card from Popper, okay? Check if it has a keyword that is 7 or higher on the Storm scale, and if it does, ban it. Whoa, mind-blowing, you guys. Mind-blowing advice right there. That just revelation of the century. I must be the smartest Magic the Gathering analyst in the world to figure that one out all by myself. Wow. I'm at least smarter than this committee and Gavin, it would seem. Okay, I'm exaggerating slightly here and being a little hyperbolic, but seriously, really? You didn't know Storm would be a problem, and you thought Affinity would be fine and didn't think that it would cause problems. Really, you're actually telling me that? That is amazing. They proceed to throw Neon Dynasty under the bus and say Reckoner's Bargain was the problem. That card is a problem in general, but come on. If you think that's the problem, and Affinity isn't, well then why'd you ban Disciple of the Vault? There you go. Checkmate. I'm not going to read the rest of this BS. So then they are talking about the artifact land dually bridges, which are indestructible, like Darkmoss Bridge. And the only statement you need to take away is where they say we aren't afraid to ban them. What you should have been is informed enough and afraid to print them in the first place. But MH2 was a freaking train wreck. So for some reason he throws in a bunch of other stuff they were going to ban, whatever. You'll see it in the future. Go read the article if you want. This is long enough already. Expedition Map. This is what I'm already pissed about. They're unbanning Expedition Map. I guess they thought, oh, well, it was only an Affinity, so let's unban it. No card should ever be unbanned for any reason. There are thousands, literally thousands of other cards that you could be playing with, other decks, other ideas. Why risk unbanning one and give people one more additional deck when there's 100 decks you could run? Do you really need one more in the diversity list, deck diversity and meta diversity measurement, when the card was proven to be problematic in the past? Is that really a good idea? Now, with that said, I guess this kind of makes sense. So they say last time around we banned Bonder's Ornament and Prophetic Prism, targeting Tron decks. Overall, we've been happy with this. Reducing Tron's power has really opened up the format because the pressure to win quickly or Tron will crush you under its mana and card advantage is no longer present. We would rather live in this strength of Tron than the previous level. I don't know what he means by that. However, we would also be happier to see a little more Tron than we do now. These people are insane. Constant threat of Tron at the top of the metagame, and a typo there actually, is not ideal. I guess they only got so far through this article, proofreading it. But knowing that it's there and that you could face it is something we believe to be healthy. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Do they think people are stupid, or are they just lying to them? Or is he admitting that they're lying to them? Or do they think they're too dumb to look up statistics that are publicly available? How are you going to have nobody playing it, but everybody fear that someone's playing it? Like, who is that stupid? Who are you even talking about? And why are you saying we're going to hope that people believe something that's not true? Absolute morons. I guess their point is we want to make it more true, so we're unbanning this because there's not enough Tron in their life. My God. Whoever they selected for this PFP, they're idiots, clearly. I thought they were pretty smart after the last bans, but they were so obvious, and now with this, no. If you're saying, I want to build what I want to build, but there's this one deck or two decks or whatever that I'm worried about being too powerful and I have to have a way to stop them, so I'm not going to build it, how could they possibly think that that's a good thing? Because it isn't. If you can just build whatever you want, and as long as it's halfway competent and somewhat powerful, you stand a good chance of winning with it, that's a healthy format. Not, oh, I could build this, but Tron, what about the overwhelming looming threat of Tron? Well, I guess that's going to pigeonhole me and get rid of 2/3 of my deck ideas. What about that seems good? What seems like a good idea or healthy about that? You absolute moron, Gavin. Please get a clue about how Magic works. It's like these people got so into the competitive net decking, just copy it from online scene, that they don't even understand how deck building works anymore. And that's what happens when they keep hiring or having volunteers, whatever the hell it is, on the stupid committee. But also their playtesting people they hire former pro players. But across the board, that's the problem, is they only think in terms of competitive decks, numbers. They don't care about fun, enjoyability, or deck building because they do none of those. They don't even understand it. That's why Magic is in the state it's in. So they're basically saying when Expedition Map was originally banned, its impact on the Tron deck ended up being minimal. This unban is a little more important in a post-Prophetic Prism and Bonder's Ornament ban world because Tron can also search for colors they need to help cast cards. A minor but relevant gameplay detail. I don't necessarily disagree, but honestly, just ban the Tron lands. Nobody wants Tron in their game, period. The end. It's that simple. So he goes on to try and justify it. It's all bullshit. Go read it if you, want to laugh or something. And then they say timeline on other cards. Before ending, I wanted to note that these were not the only decks we looked at. Here, let me summarize it. Moon Circuit Hacker and Experimental Synthesizer are going to be banned next time. And yeah, they're both pretty annoying. But they're assuring you they're not going to ban it until after Streets of New Capenna, whose spoiler season started approximately 6 seconds after Neon Dynasty came out. So, nah, I won't say I guess that makes sense, because it doesn't. If their problems ban it now, you just mixed we're not going to wait and see with we did wait and see and it was a mistake so we're banning this with let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see with Moon Circuit and Experimental Synthesizer. Did 3 different people write this article? And then in the other ban, they're like, we're going to ban this before it becomes a problem in Pioneer. So you've got 4 different strategies, 4 different timings. Wow. It's almost like, besides being terrible at their jobs, not even having a fundamental understanding of deck building, they also are all working from home and not talking to each other. And this is the result. So yeah, the ban today was pretty much a general just disaster. Total train wreck, didn't fix enough stuff and didn't touch standards. So yeah, if they think that green-white enchantments doesn't need to be addressed, then add that to the list of things that they just do not have a fundamental understanding of. So that's the ban coverage. If you want some good news, just click on the link in the description and head over to Into the AM and check out their dank-ass prices with my code DeskThreads at checkout in the promo field to get 10% off. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.